Hello, everyone. Today on the podcast, we have our guest, Dr. Siuli Mitra, the Executive Director of Indiabioscience. Indiabioscience is an independent, non profit initiative that has grown to play a vital role in India's life sciences ecosystem by building a strong, connected community across academia, government, and industry. Dr. Siuli Mitra is a scientist turned science communication specialist who has spent over a decade shaping how science is communicated and how research communities engage with policy and society. She currently leads Indiabioscience from its base at the NCBS, Bangalore, steering a wide-ranging portfolio of programs that support researchers at every stage of their careers. Now, if you are curious and want to know about Indiabiosciences about more, Indiabioscience positions itself as a catalyst of change in how science is done, shared, and governed in India. It curates and connects opportunities for young investigators, early career researchers, and established groups that actively promotes meaningful collaborations both within India and with international partners. In this episode, we will explore how Indiabioscience is shaping the future of Indian research by building platforms that nurture collaboration, amplify voices from diverse institutions, and create spaces where young scientists can find mentorship, get information about grants, fellowships, and policy engagement. You will hear Dr. Mitra talk about how community-driven initiatives can transform the culture of research, support equitable participation, and help India's scientific fraternity tell its own story more effectively to society. But before we start this episode, I request you to please subscribe this channel. Enjoy the episode.
Rolling slow.
First of all, welcome to this platform. What is the basic motto of Indiabiosciences? What is the objective of Indiabiosciences?
Sure. Thank you for having me on the podcast. So about Indiabioscience, it is a national science program which began in 2009, and this program itself is an outcome of a meeting that happened between a group of early career investigators from life sciences who met, and through the conversations that they had, they felt that there was no space which would let them to come together and discuss the challenges that are typically faced by somebody in their career stage. So most early career investigators usually struggle with challenges in coming up with a good research question, finding funds to support their research, since this is the stage where they also start mentoring students and other young researchers for their laboratories. They also look for advice on how to get better as a mentor themselves. So during those conversations, they found that there were other community members who were in the same career stage and had these common problems. But there was no such space that would allow them to come together on a periodical basis and discuss these challenges, find solutions together, and also meet others who have been through the same journeys. Yeah. So that is what gave, these are the conversations out of which Indiabioscience was born. It first came together as a website, which would, bring together these platforms that would help them exchange ideas, exchange resources that would be useful for somebody to find some answers to their questions, and so on and so forth. Since then, uh, for a few years, it was run mostly by the community itself, and then since 2013, 2014 is when Department of Biotechnology stepped up, and since then the program has been primarily funded by them. And over the years, while the basic questions that researchers at that career stage ask have mostly been the same, it has also evolved because all of these questions are being asked, all of these career trajectories are getting shaped in changing in an evolving funding ecosystem, a science ecosystem where academia is not acting in isolation. It is also interacting with industry, and that relationship has also evolved over time. It is also interacting with government departments who are also facilitating, supporting the science ecosystem. It's also interacting with policy making agencies. It's also interacting with the civil society. So all of these conversations are being shaped with these stakeholders constituting the science ecosystem. The relationships are also evolving, and so it's also shaping the how an early career investigator's career itself is evolving. Okay. So what India Bioscience does is catalyzes all of these dynamics and shapes the culture and practice of life sciences within India. Yeah. So that is what the organization is. How it does that is essentially uh, helping create a networking platform, which it started as and has now evolved into a networking platform that also translates connections into collaborations. Somebody who meets another investigator at an annual flagship program called the Young Investigators Meetings finds a collaborator for years, and that is just one of the examples of what happens, and also builds over years. Yeah. Then, yeah, that is essentially what it does. And then all of the entire program is designed by some senior researchers and research administrators from within the country. There is a core team which also implements the program itself, of which I am a part of, and it happens through again building resources, helping researchers network, connect with each other, and also find mentors within this ecosystem. So that is essentially how it works.
Okay. Oh, if I ask you, like, you have given a basic idea of India Biosciences, but then the thought process of connecting with different stakeholders had been your primarily your motto or your objective. Why do you feel that this is important in the present time?
Like I said, academia is not, doing what it does in isolation. There is this continuous, interaction with other stakeholders within the government, which includes science funding agencies, policy making bodies. It interacts with the industry, it interacts with the civil society also to shape engagement with science. It's not just important in the present time. Actually, it's academia has never, uh, you know, uh, doing what it does in isolation. It has always been interacting with all of these stakeholders. And, it's not always perfect. It always happens. It's when you talk about the science ecosystem, it comprises of all of these, stakeholders, of all of these components. It's not like it's happening right now. I think the way, we frame how research happens might have changed in our communications, but it's not a new phenomenon. It has always been that way.
So again, I just wanted to understand ki we had, like, as an academic person, the major idea is, no, we focus mainly onto our research perspective, and our major pain point was how to get grants so that my lab keeps running with the funding, and other problems can be taken care of. But is it equally important to bridge gaps with other stakeholders, like the policymakers in the government, the industry partners, and different platforms where the research, what at what level, micro or macro level, is being carried out, should also be translated or communicated effectively to the larger community? Do you think that is important?
Uh, a simple answer is yes. I don't think anybody would answer no to that question. And why that is, um, see, while the purpose of research is essentially going to be ensuring rigor in what, uh, in your mission to find an answer to the questions that you are asking, that is going to be the core. There are going to be core objectives of that research based on what is the question you are asking, and who you are, and where you are asking that question. All of that context would matter. But does research and can research happen without this interaction with society? I think the answer is no, that cannot happen. And it's not that it's only because a science funding agency is funding your research or giving you money to do your research, that is where their role stops. It's not like that. I think increasingly science funding agencies are also becoming facilitators, and DBT Welcome Trust India Alliance has always been an organization and is a good example of that. They're not just funders, they're also facilitators of research. They shape the kind of research that happens in the country, and in some way is that connecting link between what the society needs and what direction is research is research going. So I don't think all of that is isolated from each other. So it's not either or. It's all a continuous process. All of them are partners in this entire
That's
ecosystem.
true. It's more or less like a ecosystem. But research is something which is not new in India. People had been doing it, and earlier and now, the pattern of research and the communications. Do you think it has changed, or it is still the same?
The research has changed. I think so. The way we frame our research, that might have changed a little bit. Okay. But I don't think the purpose of research itself would have changed over the years. Yeah. Does it answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. The purpose of research should not get diluted. But again, if for a new researcher, like I'm a young investigator, if I say 10 years back, that person needed to find its ground, do research extensively, come out with publications. And I think the major chunk or effort was to come up with good publications and run the lab. But do you think nowadays it is, for a young investigator, they need to think beyond that to make them visible, to get that identification in the scientific community?
Do they need to do beyond, you know, uh, go beyond publications? Yes, and I don't think at any point of time it was just publications. Okay, publications are your outputs, but there are also outcomes that you're working towards, right? Improving just how healthcare is in the country is an outcome that one could be working towards over a short period of time. I think how your research outputs are also going to affect, just how much the your area itself is growing. Okay, how it on an individual level, it would also affect how your own career is getting shaped. Okay, how you are interacting and collaborating with the larger community. But over the years, the impact would show as outcomes. Okay, so I think that is what a researcher would be and will be working towards. There would be, I think, short term, medium term, and long term plans, and plans of how one measures the impact that they have. It, and I think that goes beyond publication.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. If I think the thought process of these days researchers have changed, right?
I'm not sure. I mean, so these are shaped by, again, I think it's important to remember what the goals of the researcher themselves is. What does your institution want you to do? I think what is the need of the ecosystem at that point of time? It's not a very simple, there's not a simple answer to that question. There are multiple factors that, shape that decision, shape that thought process. While, one can, in their early few years, the priority would be to just set up a lab, come up with a few papers, and find good people to work with you in your lab. Yeah, but I don't think it's only, coming up with 10 papers in the few years. There are, again, multiple things that one needs to and does think about.
No, totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. Okay, if just I have few things, like if I am a person who is very new to this research community, what kind of expectations do I need to have, or I can set up if I need to get connected with India Biosciences?
Okay, so if you are new to the life science community in India, what you can expect from India Bioscience is a huge community of researchers, research professionals, science educators, students who are already a part of this community, who joined the community when they themselves were, say, early career investigators, were students, and have grown within the community for years, and then, given back, or also benefited from from the kind of support that this community provides. And how does that support looks like? It Through our various platforms, how community members contribute is, sharing their own lived experiences of navigating funding, mentorship, just career development within the country. And there is a lot to learn from these experiences. And I think what India Bioscience has been very successfully doing is to gather and, just give a platform for all of those lived experiences, and made them available to everyone who needs it. So that is a huge resource for somebody who can, to benefit from.
Okay, okay. I'm trying to be a little bit more critical here. We have platforms like LinkedIn. Professionally, people can connect with them. We if you want to connect with our peers in the similar field, yes, that is also a wonderful platform to do it. But how India Bioscience platform is different from the known platforms like LinkedIn or any other professional platforms? How it is different?
It's very different. It's not just a platform that is going to help you network. That is what it started to be, started as. But a network goes beyond making just connections of different nodes. What India Bioscience does and strives is also continuously striving towards is strengthening those connections, so that connections translate into something else, translate into more meaningful relationships. And then those two nodes, if they are two individuals, they benefit from that relationship. Now, what does that benefit look like? It can look like, a paper, a publication together. It can look like, two people coming together to co-mentor a student or a group of students. It could be anything. Why that is different from social media platforms like LinkedIn? It's specific. It's exclusively for designed for the life science community in India, and it's not just designed. Over the time, it has also become a system which has grown based on what are the kind of conversations that connect these people. So while India Bioscience has designed this space, it doesn't really steer these conversations. The community itself, gives direction to where these conversations are going, where those relationships are going. So this is that way, it's just meant for asking those right questions that would be very specifically helpful for somebody who's a part of this community. I think when you look at a bigger platform of the scale of something like LinkedIn, it would, of course, dilute the purpose of something very exclusive.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I totally agree with that because most of the platforms which we are aware of, they are very generic in nature and in execution.
Yeah.
But you have a very niche community, and fostering connections and taking that relationship beyond just superficial connections is something I believe India Biosciences is doing it. So,
Yeah.
how many people are as of now connected with your community?
Wow, that's a question very difficult to answer, but I do remember a figure. I spoke about the young investigator meetings that happen over here. We, just totaled the number of people who have attended these meetings, and there are 80 people who come for these meetings every year, and that number is now close to 1,500. So we just finished the 18th edition of the Young Investigators meeting. Every year, it's attended by 40 young investigators who are young faculties in the first 8 to 10 years of starting a research lab, and then we have 40 postdoctoral fellows from across the country and from overseas who are planning to come back to India. So close to 1,500 through these meetings. And then we also have regional chapter of these meetings across the country. So 4 or 5 meetings happen every year, and they are also attended by 100 young investigators. So the number that we are looking at right now is somewhere around, and most probably more than 40,000. So, and it's not just these young investigator meetings. It's also many workshops, many other online and in-person events over the years, and the number comes between 40 to 50,000 who have become a part of this community. Well, the number is quite big and important. One needs to remember also how many research academic institutions are there in the country which have life science research programs. It's still a small number. And I think the more important part of that, part of what this number signifies is this number of people, every person doesn't just come one off time and goes back. They are always free to come back, and even if and just benefit from whatever there is on that one website. So it's the number, the impact of what India Bioscience does actually goes beyond that number and much beyond that number. It's a small number given how many researchers, life science researchers there are in the country.
Okay, okay. No, that's a fair point. Fair point. And so, coming back to my previous question is, at what would be the entry level? If I am a newly enrolled PhD, or even if I'm a master student, can I also enroll in this community, or I need to get registered in a PhD? Then only I'm eligible for.
No, not at all, not at all. So, and I'll tell you how. When you're doing a master's degree, you're still, quite early in your career, and you're still figuring things out. Yeah. So one thing that India Bioscience has learned over time, just looking at what the experiences of life science researchers and researchers from other areas are, that nobody has uh, uh, an identical career trajectory. Okay, and different people have taken different paths to reach to common doing common roles, and then master's, PhD, postdoctoral fellowship, and then a faculty position is not the one career path that there is within the sciences. It's a lot more than that. And which is why we encourage that somebody doing their bachelor's, master's degree in sciences also engages with what India Bioscience does to get to know what there is once they decide to do a PhD, once they decide to do a postdoctoral fellowship, if they decide to do a postdoctoral fellowship. So just to get to know that. So yes, to your question about whether a master's, somebody with a master's degree can also engage with what India Bioscience does. Yes, they can.
Wow, wow. So you have any sessions where you actually counsel or bring those cases who have had a unique career graph, and that can be a live example to the rest of the audience?
Yes, and these sessions are called crafting your career workshops. There are both online and offline formats for these, and these have over the years happened for undergraduate students, postgraduate students, till young investigators level. So this is the range of career stages of people who have attended and benefited from these workshops.
Wow, wonderful. If you can quickly say how one person, like consider me, how I can enroll myself and get associated with India Biosciences.
It's so I think again I'll go back to what I earlier said. All of us have had different career trajectories. I'm sure there are many people who would want to do what you do, and uh, as somebody who has lived through that experience, if you decide to give back to the community, that is what you do. You open up as somebody who can be reached out and can be accessible about if somebody has questions about, say, how to work with size, or how to make a podcast, or how to pursue a career in population genetics, or get a PhD at ISI. So that is depending on who's talking, you can always you can find people who would want to reach somewhere, right? So how we capture these lived experiences is what I would add. So India Bioscience has different platforms, which essentially are different formats of communication. There are webinars, there are podcasts, and then there is a lot of writing also, which are available as features, columns, as electronic compendium. So what is done by the core team is all of those lived experiences are captured and documented in different formats and made available to everyone who has questions. So how a professional or research professional like you can contribute is by being a part of one of those.
Okay, okay. And for students and for researchers, they simply need to go to the website and register themselves.
So there is a newsletter that they can subscribe to. It carries all of our resources, and it's published on a monthly basis. So there is a lot of news and updates about jobs, events, grants, fellowships, which are all curated based on what are the needs of the life science research community. One can start by subscribing to that newsletter, and then how one can continue engaging is by just looking at the other other resources that are available.
Okay, okay. No, that's a good idea, because if whoever is interested, I think with the subscription of newsletters, they will also be updated as was like upcoming events or any special programs which they want to get associated with, right? So
So another important mandate has been through through those columns and features. We also capture a lot of research that happens across laboratories in India, and they are all people write send us pitches based on their research, and these are essentially science stories, and they are also disseminated through our newsletters and our website. So somebody who wants to know about what is going on in research and it's available in language that is easy to understand for somebody who's not a researcher themselves.
yeah, yeah, makes sense. Yeah. And is it like offline, online, both the things, like different programs, you have it in different cities in offline as well?
Yes, so it's actually a mixture of both. Why we tend to do more events digitally is to ensure that whatever material we develop reaches out to more people and places, irrespective of which part of the country they are in.
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything like mentor mentee programs as well?
Yes. So mentor mentee, conversations are a part of how we design our programs and platforms. Okay. So even if it's an informational webinar about, say, a new fellowship, you will find somebody who's a program officer talking about the details of how to navigate the application process, what to expect from the fellowship program or the grant. You will also find people who have themselves been through the application process, giving you pragmatic advice on how to, go through that and what to expect. So mentor-mentee, interactions are designed into how we, curate most of what we do. If you go to one of these young investigator meetings, you will find mentors over there who are available to young researchers, grappling with these very difficult questions. Many of these mentors, all the mentors are available, of course, throughout the event itself. But mentees also reach out to them after the meeting has ended, and end up finding a collaborator for a long time to come.
Wow. Okay. Oh, so okay, I'll just try to reiterate whatever points we just touched upon. One is, if I'm an early researcher, obviously, one is career guidelines, career perspective. The options do I have through exemplary no storytelling? That is one part. Second is, as you said, mentor mentee programs are there, so I can have I can get associated with this, and maybe I can have a guided path moving ahead in my career. Third is, yes, we have newsletter subscriptions, so I can keep myself informed about the upcoming events. Uh, Obviously, for young scientists or young researchers, you have workshops and conferences or meets, basically, time and again, where they meet people who are their peers, and then they build value connections, which are not meant to be just formal hello hi connections, but meant to foster more collaborations and exchange of knowledge in the universe of life science, right? If I've understood this correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, if I see this as a entire ecosphere, where in this ecosystem, whoever gets there, they get this. Now, is it limited to people who are only doing research in India, or people who are settled in abroad? They're also in the life sciences research. They can also be a part of this.
Yeah. So, yes, they can be a part of it, and they are a part of many of our programs. The goal still remains the same. What we work towards is catalyzing life science research ecosystem in India. So that is the goal, that anybody can be a part of the ecosystem, but the goal still remains the same.
Yeah, that's true. Agreed. So where do you see this, down the line, 5 years or 10 years from here? Where do you see India biosciences is heading towards?
I I mean, it's very difficult, and I am very sure this is. I can answer it as a person who has been a beneficiary of the program, and I in my response I'm going to tell you where I want to see it. I would want the program to be there 10 years from now, continue doing what it is doing right now, because there are multiple entry points for researchers, and by multiple entry points, I also mean one can enter this community at any career stage. Okay. Uh, and so I hope somebody who is a young researcher and doesn't know about the program right now, 10 years later, the program should still be around for them to enter, because all of these resources that have been generated, developed, contributed over the years, will still be relevant. A question about how to ensure rigor in your research is not going to lose its essence, 10 years from now. I would like the program to still be there and do most of what it is doing right now. Of course, I would want it to reach out to more people for that number to increase, but also more than an increase in those numbers, I would want the relationships, the connections themselves to be stronger and translate into something more than just knowing each other.
Hmm. Yeah, well said, well put together. We are already in an era where AI has almost touched almost each and everyone's life in some or other form. Do you think AI is also going to bring a lot of impact into your community?
I'm sure there is already it's already impacting everything that we do. So, is it impacting the community? I think it's yes, and not unlike any other technology or platform built on those technology. How an organization like India Bioscience can leverage that is we have a very small team and a big mission to work towards. How we how we leverage those platforms, that technology is to make our work, uh, not simple, but I think to be able to handle, to be able to manage the immense, work that we have at hand better. Since we have a small team of 4 people, we ensure we have, we have frameworks in place to get anything done. And while the rigor in anything that you do has to have a human in as a part of that equation and actually running it, the tool itself can be, there are several tools and not those built on AI that can help with that process, and that is extremely useful for us.
Inevitable, that's nature. How we accept it or how we try to challenge it is in our inherent way of dealing with it.
And how we use it. So I'll give you an example. So we get several pitches every month, and I'm sure we get several pitches every week, which are essentially from young writers, covering research that happens at different laboratories. Uh, I think it would be foolish of us to ask them to not use AI-based tools at all, because and that is not what we ask them to do. What we ask them to do is, make use of those tools, but be transparent in why you are using those tools, and we advise them on using it in a better way, not to do away with it. So
So
that is,
practically, like ethical use of a tool for fast enough your process and come up with quality work rather than taking a shortcut and ending up your work, right?
yeah, essentially.
So I think, Dr. Siuli, we have touched on all the points. I try to deep dive into it and get a more understanding for myself as well as for the viewers who are going to listen to this podcast. Before we conclude today's talk, what would be like if you can just narrow it down? What is the structural orientations as in terms of departments or sub departments or functionalities within the India Biosciences? And as we had been heading it, so I think no other better person than you describing your internal structures. And obviously, once we get this clarity, where at different levels, like from the entry level to the different entry points into the this ecosystem, I think people will try to get associated more and more. But if you can just break down into your functionalities and to departments, that would be great.
Yeah, we are very small organization, uh, which aspires to have and has had a huge impact. So just looking at the organization, it's as I said, a science program that is funded by the Department of Biotechnology. It is the core team has one executive director and program managers who head different verticals. The activities, the different functionalities that there are, essentially fall in two brackets: activities related to community engagement, which helps which captures most of what I talked about. It brings the community together, uh, and has programs that help community members to continuously engage with each others. And these are essentially the entry points of how somebody can become a part of this community. The other set of activities that we have fall under the bigger umbrella of science media, which is essentially developing columns, articles, podcasts, resources, and both community engagement initiatives and science media activities are all, they complement each other in their functions. Yeah. So in the organization itself, the team is advised by a, a board which comprises senior researchers and research administrators from within the country. They head and are senior leaders from different research institutions and give strategic advice for the team to carry out the day-to-day functioning of the program itself. So that is how it is. The organization looks like. How community members become a part of everything that we do is it goes from attending or of our meetings to becoming partners in developing science media. So they write columns, articles for us. They contribute by sharing news when they have scientific breakthroughs or interesting questions that they are pursuing. Many of the research professionals who have chosen career paths other than academia also step in and talk about their own career trajectories, and how their training has been and what has been helpful, what hasn't been particularly helpful. So all of these stories are weaved into developing all of everything that we do, and these are then available as resources for everyone else.
Okay, okay, yeah, great. I got to know many things today, right? And I'm sure whoever listens to this podcast will definitely get a new sense and an idea that how individuality and a community plays a different role at different perspectives. I think this is very important, standing in the present era. We, be it any field, life sciences is one sector or one segment of it. Be it any field and be it any profession, we need to develop communities if we have to grow holistically. So, fostering that idea and taking that step, congratulations to you and your entire team. And we look forward to have more activities from your side. I wish that whoever listens to this podcast would like to get associated with the community in their future and get benefited out of the different programs which you're already running through it. So, on that note, thank you immensely for your time, for your insights, and for sharing all these details with so much, articulately, explaining things at micro levels. So, thank you for your time once again.
Thank you so much. Thanks.